Overlord. I honestly, that was such a blast. Like, I grew up playing the second game, which, oh man, I loved the second game. I loved its sense of humor, and playing this game, it certainly is obvious where the inspiration for where everything came from in regards to the second game. Like, it's so cool to see how everything originated. Like, the sense of humor, the minions, the way that they interact with the environment, the mechanics. Honestly though, if I had to say, this would be the part of the game where I'd give my score, and honestly, I'd give it a solid 6 out of 10. Solid 6 out of 10, mainly because of the fact that I edited a lot of it out, but there were a lot of times where the game would glitch, minions would catch onto surfaces and just permanently stuck there. And then on top of that, there would also be some things like that's -1 point because of the fact that minions would oftentimes glitch. Another point deduction would have to be in the form of the magic system in this game. As great as it is, I personally think it should have just been left to upgrades instead of, because every single spell that you unlock in this game takes up F1 all the way to F12, which is just way too many spells, especially when so much of them do the exact same thing. If anything, because of the fact that I can't keybind, the number one thing I would say to fix that, or to at least remedy that, would be either to just make it so that the spells are upgraded rather than you being able to swap between all these different spells, or I would have it so that just clicking the same, because to use the spell and to select the spell, they're two different things. So what I would have done was I would have just made it so that F1 to F4 was to select the different spells, and you could cycle through each version of the spell by just clicking the same key again to select the spell. So that's now an 8. So that's now an 8 out of 10. Pacing. As great as the pacing is, unfortunately, with the it could have benefited with a bit more streamlining of, like, okay, this leads to this and then this leads to this, because there were times where I would be in the middle of completing the Oberon missions, and then all of a sudden the game's like, okay, well, now you're going to the land of the dwarves, and it's like, what about the elf? Am I not? And like, yeah, you get to the land, but it's just a number of things. So maybe if they had just streamlined the objectives, for example, instead of all of the objectives having the same marker, my number one thing would have been, I personally would have had it so that there were, like, make it so that there's main objectives and then side objectives, instead of treating everything as a main objective. And then the last little complaint I have is the voice acting. And oh boy, the voice acting, I'm sure you've heard me laugh at a lot of the janky animations I can get past because it's all in good fun, and it's 2007. It's a game from 2007. What can you do? But I would have to say, and I know this was when this studio was pretty small, but at the same time, it's like, maybe have your voice actors at least try to be a bit more fantastical, because it really kind of sucks you. And I get it, this is meant to be a tongue-in-cheek parody of the game, but at the same time, just kind of pull back a bit and, you know, have the voice actors put on a bit of a British accent or a French accent or any of that, just to kind of help keep us immersed in the world, because you can have a lot of the meta commentary jokes and references in regards to fantasy in general, because like the premise of the game, you're playing an evil overlord, but at the same time, a lot of the voice acting very much took me out of it. So those are my 4 complaints: glitches, spell mechanics, pacing, and voice acting. That's what brings it down to a 6 out of 10 for me. But overall, I had a blast with this game. This is such a blast from the past, like a game from 2007. Oh man, I really enjoyed this. So without all that out of the way, thank you everyone so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, by all means, go ahead and check out the other playlists of series I have, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you around.